Excuse me. What up, guys? Any tier Anime Familia gonna be doing? Well, we're gonna be continuing reading a Wild Last Boss Appeared. So, based on so far where I am with the book, it seems like I could. Let's see. We are 70-ish percent, so we're like a few minutes left into finishing this book. So we can more than likely we can probably finish off the rest in this stream. Sorry about that. But anyway, without further ado, let's continue. So the last time we left off is where crap. The the Leafus, or basically the main character that's been reincarnated into this isekai world based off of a game. He's the main character that he's created, but in this world he is actually considered a she. So right now pretty much where he's at right now is he defeated one of his main subordinates, which was Ares. If I was remember correctly, Ares was one of his main subordinates, and it turns out we were able to see Ares' human form, which is a very feminine boy. Now that all that commotions has gotten out of the way, Ares, Leafus, I'm not sure if that's how you say her name, are now trying to continue on with their journey while being acquainted with Mesgar, or Megrez or something like that. But yeah, but anyway, we're just gonna continue and we're gonna refamiliarize with ourselves as we continue to read the story. It has been a hot bit, like it's been quite a bit since I last read, but I still know more or less where we left off. Anyway, let's see, where was I? Oh yeah. As for Ares in his original form and his human form, his expression was way too different from the monster sheep. Well, it's kind of hard to tell an animal's expression versus a human one. Animal expressions are very, for the most part, they're never really changing, or at least they don't change that much. Like you can tell an animal from angry to like calm to angry, vice versa. But anyway, impression different from the sheep. He was led in without any questions whatsoever. I mean, who would even imagine that over 100-meter class giant sheep could 100 meter? Jesus, that is one big sheep. Could be a boy that looked this feminine. That's what I'm saying. I'm the one who edited his look this way, though. What happened to the monsters? We have added them all to our forces. We have given them the order to not attack people without reason. So long as your side does not provoke them, you should see no trouble. Interesting. There should have been 100 monsters in that castle, but I guess even after 200 years, the Great Conqueror's leadership ability hasn't declined. However, how scary. My bad, I said however. How scary. Huh, wait. The leadership's ability hasn't. Okay, so okay, despite like aging, he hasn't gone weaker. Ah, sorry. It's probably actually declined greatly. Or never mind. I mean, my insides are completely different, as if I could say that. So for now, I just smiled confidently. So what are you going to do now? Of course, we will return all the 12 heavenly stars to our. There we go. The subordinates are called the 12 heavenly stars. That's what I remember. Next is where should I go? I'm not familiar at all with this era's geography. I'd be able to decide if all the cities were the same as the game, but unfortunately, since my country got destroyed and all the heroes started their own, I had no idea where anything was, and so I looked over at Dina, trying to draw an explanation out of her. Our next destination is the grave of the Black Winged King. Doesn't that sound like the main character that, you know, who he is right now? Or she? It's hard to say. It's around 500 kilometers away. Jesus Christ. It's being guarded by one of the 12 heavenly stars, Libra of the Scales. Sounds like a dragon. Or maybe it could be a snake. From the name, it sounded like our graves. Sounded. Not it sounds. It actually is your grave, Miss Lufus. Oh, so it is Lufus. So I did get it right. It was completed 190 years ago. It's a pyramid that is also the world's largest building at 108 floors total. All the people that were close to you, excuse me, took 10 years to build it at the top floor. All the equipment, weapons, treasures you used and herded while you were alive are stored, and it's being guarded by Libra, one of the 12 heavenly stars, without rest all this time. Oh, that Libra. I wonder when they say Libra, they mean like an actual Libra. Wait, what? Anyway, one of the 12 heavenly stars, Libra of the scales, she was most likely the single most powerful golem in all of X-Gate Online. Oh, so she's a golem. For her materials based, I used an item that dropped off an official event boss, one that had no duplicate in the world, the scales of selection. Furthermore, I had Mizar, whose alchemist level was 200. He paid for it. He pay to play, pay to win, right? Build her instead me to raise her. Wait, build her instead of me to raise her level. Gotcha. I said before that a golem's max level depends on the materials used to build it, and the max level for the scales selection was 1000. Jesus. And with Mizar's 200 alchemist level, the formula for the golem's level went to 1000 plus 200. Wow, dude, that is a very strong golem. In other words, we managed to create a level 700 golem. Golems are treated as objects, so their ownership transferable. Their ownership is transferable. On top of that, we used a rare item limited number or Orchalcum, no, Orichic Fraction, whatever that name is, a paid item. It was to, at its creation, raise a golem's final level by 10 to 30% at random. Oh, it's kind of like one of those like one of those special like when you implement stats, you sometimes get random. Yeah, I remember from certain video games they did that. Luckily, we got plus 30% and raised the golem's level by 210. That's really good. Wow, so you got lucky. It is pay to win, however. It's not like us free to play players. You know what I mean? We struggling out here. Pay to, like, if you're pay to play, is like it's almost expected for you to do like absurdly well. But anyway, in other words, Libra had a vaunted level of 910 even as a golem, and through the combined efforts of Mizar and I, was something that should truly be called a super golem. Huh. Well, she's still under the can't be stronger than its owner rule. So if I were to give Libra to a weak player, she'd still get downgraded. It wasn't a problem with me and my 1000 levels though. Also, in terms of attack, Libra is most likely the strongest out of all the. Oh, well, I mean, if she's a golem, quote unquote, a super golem, it would make sense that she would stand out in terms of like power. So okay. In fact, I messed up. She could be even stronger than me, and that's because the straight up inherited a boss unique skill. That boss being the goddess scale, who dropped the scales of selection in the first place. Said goddess scales was the guardian of the divine territory that Alumnus occupied. That was the lore setting of the super difficult dungeon. It required a corresponding amount of strength from all the players that challenged it. It was a fearful guardian that blew away all weaklings without question, and the name of its deadly skill was Brachynuum, Brachium, something like that. Its effect was to apply a set amount of damage, 9,000. Wait, no. 99,990 to be exact, through all the defensive skills and at perfect accuracy. Of course, any normally raised character wouldn't be able to live after taking. First of all, if anyone took a hit like that in a video game, that's a one shot. That is an easy one shot. Even the heaven winged or vampires with their relatively high stats would reach around 70,000 HP at level 1000. Normally, in other words, it was a broken skill that assumed that all opponents were using stat boosting items, meaning it mercilessly killed all but high level players. It even killed Migres, who was a specialized backliner and thus had low HP. It was a fiendish boss, as if its very existence was saying, if you can't overcome this, you don't deserve to see the goddess. If I'm remembering right, the basics of the event were to defeat the fiendish guardian, overcome the crazily difficult dungeon, and meet the goddess for a reward. So even a golem that fiendish skill was alive and well, though as one might expect, it got weaker unlike the boss, who would shoot it off over and over from the start of the battle. Libra was limited to only once every 24 hours, and even then it was a fearsome threat. I vividly remember the chills I got, even as a friendly, after seeing Libra killed everyone in the first move by using the pre- preemptive strike skill at the start of the battle to shoot it off right away. The only problem was the CPU's thinking must have been bad, since Libra would use it even against small fries if it was available. Thanks to that, there have been trouble more than once since she was unable to use it when it was most important. I mean, isn't it like basically a common like isn't it pretty much a common rule that we should just expect all like CPUs or like computer generated enemies or allies to just do stupid things? Like CPUs in general are really dumb because if we were to give CPUs the tactical knowledge and like reaction times to real players, bro, we'd be dealing with like S level bosses in every level. It'd be insane. That's why certain difficulty for MCUs, they're measured based on where you're at, like at a game or and anything in general. Well, the skill clearly broke a game balance. It sounds like it did. And people had complained a lot to the devs about their balancing mistakes. So, I mean, I agreed with their opinion too. I figured it'd get fixed with the next update patch, but in the end, the final battle happened before that, and I ended up here. So she's the guardian, huh? I'm not sure if there'd be any grave robbers, but if there were, I can only offer them my condolences. As it is, in their entire world, probably only Livia could break past that skill. I've heard that the rumors about Libra too. It seems she turned into a killing machine that massacres anyone that approaches the top floor. Apparently, there were people that tried talking, but I hear it was like talking to a wall. Megrez said, looking troubled as he heaved a sigh. Personally, I think she's better since she isn't on a rampage like Ares was. But I guess Megrez thinks differently. Then would it not be fine to leave her? Is there a reason you want to rob our grave so badly? There is. That's why it's a problem. People aren't the only ones that have degraded over these 200 years. Tools and weapons and even alchemists have all been decaying in quality. In particular, most of all the legendary class magic swords and armors were destroyed in the battle with the Devil King. And the only ones left are all in your grave. Ah. So basically, none of the equipments are up to the task to be able to do what they need to do. They're the grave that Lufus and her party, or Lufus per se, has all the great equipments, armor, so on and so forth. So, but because of Libra, they're preventing them from getting to it. So it's like a big mission, a big feat to accomplish if you really want those weapons. Legendary class weapons probably meant all the weapons made by players are rare drop weapons. Particularly items and weapons from artificial official events were especially valuable since they couldn't be obtained again. That is true. Like if you play a gacha game, I think it's more common in gacha nowadays, not so much in like video games. I mean, maybe MMOs as well, but like most gacha games, if there's like an event going on, unless you really care, you play that game for as much as you well, you play that event as much as you need to. That way you get everything you need before the event goes away. Like this is a common thing way more known in mobile games, especially gachas. Right now, as we're being cornered by the devil folk, there's weapons are those weapons are valuable enough for people to give up an arm and a leg for. I'm not justifying grave robbing, but even so, all the weapons you have stored there could have hold the key to reversal of humanity's fortunes. But thanks to that golem, no one can lay hands on them. Well, of course, thanks to that stupid skill that does 99,999 set defense piercing damage. Bro, get out of here. Piercing damage is crazy. If it does have a sort of weakness in that it can't be used repeatedly, but in this age, one probably already had risked their own life just to get up there. I seriously doubt anyone would truly be willing to deal with an attack that deals instant death levels of damage on top of that. Well, yeah, no normal person in this world would even consider going there. It's not worth it. You're gonna die, or at least be hit early retirement. We can't really bring ourselves to blame Libra on this. It's true that humanity is in trouble, but from our perspective, she has simply been loyally protecting our property until our return. It should be praiseworthy, not something condemn her over. That is true. She's doing it out of respect and loyalty to Lufus and the whole party. So if anything, well, from an outside perspective, of course they would condemn her. But from if you're a party member, you have nothing but praise for her. I know, but if you can, I'd like it if after you've retrieved Libra, you'd leave just what you don't think you'll use behind in your grave. I know this is a completely absurd request though. Well, we don't mind a request of that level. It's funny, the owner of a grave who's currently alive is allowing people to rob it. Well, for now, my next destination is set. I need to go and commend Libra for working 190 years without rest. I tried up I tied up my hair into a ponytail and put some glasses. Even doing that much changed my impression considerably. Yeah, you sound like one of those like nerdy anime girls or one of those like, you know what I mean? I feel like an anime girl with glasses and a ponytail is like, it sounds like your classic like schoolgirl character. As for clothes, I changed out of the white dress I've been using up until now for a white tunic and black slacks and wore my usual crimson cloak on top. However, unlike before, I simply wore it instead of using it to cover my entire body. Okay, so are your wings exposed? I guess there'd be no point in covering it now. Lastly, Dina wrapped my black wings in some bandages to hide them. Well, forget what I said. When she did, the wings themselves mysteriously disappeared from sight, and it was no longer obvious that I was even a heavenly wing, if I was even a heaven winged. The bandages were something Magrez had prepared, a camouflage item that he created with alchemy. Apparently, it was imbued with stealth magic, and anything wrapped in it would blend into the surrounding. A camouflaging bandage, that's pretty advanced. It'd be hard to keep moving around looking as you've been, right? Magrez said those gifting me some new clothes and aforementioned bandages. I was really grateful. What do you think, Magrez? Does it suit us? Does it suit us, she says. Yeah, anything you wore suits you. Thanks to Magrez, I didn't have to do anything this self-binding play anymore. It was an escape that I couldn't wish for more. Man, honestly, I didn't think he'd go this far for me. To think I'm a sworn enemy from the past that just suddenly revived, so being enemy should have been normal, but instead he's supporting me like this. It's so nice, I'm actually starting to wonder if it's a trap. Say, Lufus, yes? Do you not resent us? Oh, this is Magress talking, right? You are unmistakably within arm's reach of your dreams. You were just about to achieve the future you wanted, and we were the ones who betrayed you and ruined it all. Don't you think that's detestable? I sunk into thought for a small while at Magress's question. I didn't feel any of that hatred, or resentment, or whatever. Of course I wouldn't. To me, that fight was just a game. I wasn't the one that actually experienced it. So instead of answering the question, I decided to reply in my own way. If the people rose in rebellion, that only meant that we were not fit to be king. If you rose to action because you were unsatisfied with us, then that just meant that we were not worthy of kingship. As we drove you to that, there is not a single reason to resent you. I checked myself in the mirror, striking several poses from many angles. Yeah, this is pretty nice, isn't it? It's easy to move in, and more than anything, it doesn't make me look haughty or arrogant. As always, I wouldn't be able to avoid attention given any ridiculously good looks, but it's 10 times better than being suspicious person fully covered in red mantle. That's true. Man, I shouldn't be saying this about myself, but it's unfair how good I look without even any makeup. I make an idol after being I make an idol after being Photoshop. So stop blaming yourself. Honestly, it hurts to even watch you. Lufus was an invader, and he was one of the heroes that defeated her. That was all that mattered 200 years ago. That's probably how it should be. The victors always decide everything, so the moment I lost the right to say anything, and I don't want to either. So seeing the winner side all the suffering like this is like putting the cart before the horse. Huh. I mean, I get it though. It's like the person in Lufus's consciousness is just the guy playing a video game. You can argue he could be like upset for losing in the game, but it's like it's been so long since then, and he really doesn't hold resentment. It's just like, hey, you were one of the big bosses I had to beat. I couldn't beat you. I lost. It is what it is. So it's like, yeah, he's literally only taking this as a video game. That's why it's kind of hard for him to comprehend how other people comprehend things in this world, at least from their perspective versus his own. Okay, you are a hero to the people of this country. Be proud, like you were 200 years ago. I'll take your advice to heart. Thanks. A slight smile returned to Magress's face. That way too serious side of his will probably have him worrying even more in the future, but I'd like to think I just made it a little better. In fact, our side is one that needs to apologize, especially at a certain sheep that's like a walking gender scam is currently curled up in a corner. Gender scam is crazy. I have never heard that before. Gender scam? I've heard scammed used in like malicious and different kinds of ways, but gender scam is crazy. But Ares threw a fit, saying, I don't want to apologize to anybody who betrayed Master, and as of now, he still hasn't uttered a single word of apology. Now then, it is about time for us to set off Livia. Who Ares weakened should be fine now. You have my thanks. As I am now, I can't bring back the HP that was lost. It seems that as long as there was water, the max HP that Livia lost due to Ares' attack could be recovered. However, even though Magress could repair Livia, he wasn't able to alchemize more material to completely recover the lost HP, so I had to do that part. Still, being able to recover with just water is really something convenient. For now, all the problems with Livia should be solved. Okay. Lufus. Hmm? Nice travels. Of course. Having been encouraged by Magress, I couldn't help but smile and waving goodbye, we left Magress's residence. Okay. So with that, our characters are now done. We have the next quest in mind, and we're going to see Libra. We're gonna find her, console her, or at least praise her at first for so many years of loyalty, bringing her back to the group as again they're recovering the 12 heavenly stars, and then taking whatever equipment is there and then leaving it to fodder. But I'll be honest, I'd take all that equipment myself if I gotta be honest here. I would not leave a damn thing for any of them bastards. Okay. Yes, that's exactly how I imagined her to look. I am not gonna lie to you. Okay, okay, maybe she looks okay. I was kind of thinking like a schoolgirl kind of look, but she kind of gives off like a military, like a secretary kind of look even. All right, they leave Magress's mansion. Okay, we're gonna continue. Just be right back, guys. I gotta use the restroom. It's okay. I'll be just a few minutes. Okay, I'm back. God damn! Wait a minute. 58 minutes left into. Never mind. I thought it was only a few minutes left. We still got. Yeah, we still got a decent way. We might not finish it tonight then, but I think if not this stream, then the next stream I might be able to finish it. So yeah. Sorry guys, I got the sniffles. Anyway, we went straight out of the nobles district towards the trade district. On the way, I noticed Gant's unique bald head, so I approached in order to say goodbye. Gantz! What? Oh, huh? What? A super hottie? Hey, miss, what do you need? Bro doesn't even realize he's talking to Lufus. Now, there's no need for that kind of speech. Look, it's us. You took care of us when we just arrived, remember? Wait, Lu. That's a weird way to say her name. Did she always or he always used an alias? Now I don't know. I said, turning Gantz speechless. Then, the next moment, he started screaming, huh? What? What? Oh yeah, I never showed Gantz how I looked. I started to think this might have been a mistake, but I immediately corrected that since we'd be leaving anyway, so it didn't really matter. Sfalu, the super suspicious looking one in red mantle, you were this haughty? Stop, don't flatter us like that. We simply came to say our goodbyes. We are leaving the country now. You've taken good care of us, Gantz. We're returning to our travels now. I laughed seeing Gantz so surprised, and Dina also said her goodbyes. Ares was. He must have been feeling guilty since he hid behind me and didn't even try to show his face. He's totally turned into some sort of a small animal, hasn't? Yeah. I mean, from going from this giant sheep to like this timid, fragile little boy, it kind of would make your whole world seemed small. Oh, I see. You're leaving already? You two take care. That goes for the cute little lady behind you too. He's a boy, you know. Well then, Gantz. Wait, no, really? Laughing. Well then, Gantz, let's meet again if the fates will it. Yeah, Svalu. No, never mind. Be well and be careful too. After saying our goodbyes, we left Svel. Bro, I find it funny. Like, I mean, to be honest though, Ares does look like a very feminine dude. Like, I've seen how Ares looked, like, in regards to like more detailed images. Bro, that's a girl. That's a freaking girl. He low-key kind of reminds me of Rimuru from Slime, low-key. In the end, it seemed like Gantz wanted to ask me something, but he never ended up saying anything. Most likely he wanted to ask about me kicking Ares back in the fight, but he probably figured we'd had our own problems, so he decided not to. Or he might actually have instinctively noticed my identity. In any case, he was a nice guy. It'd be great if he lives a long time. So, Dina, you said that our destination is 500 kilometers away. So what do? We do not mind walking. Yes, I have an idea. What about creating a golem for us to ride? What? You don't like walking? I don't. It's tiring. After leaving Svel, we were currently on a plain so big I couldn't tell where it ended. At the very least, there was something resembling a road made, and thinking I'd have to walk down it was killing my motivation. Although I wasn't even sure how long I'd have to walk to even start to feel tired, so it was still kind of fun in a certain way. More than that though, isn't there a sense of romance in a journeys like these? But Dina seemed to hate the idea and asked that I make a vehicle. Dina is sounds like a brat, a spoiled one at that. But no, I mean, who wants to walk? If you're gonna be traveling for long distances, I guess you might as well make the trip comfortable. But anyway, this was something I learned after coming here to this world. But in here, golems were nearly as dumb and actually had an ability to adapt. Weren't nearly as dumb. For example, in the game, golems would charge in as they pleased and use whatever attacks they'd like. But here, golems are pretty smart. For example, Livia probably listens to Magress's orders. There were also no limits to the shape golems could take. So in other words, if I made one shaped like a car, I'd get a self-driving car. I mean, that's true. Lufus would get her again. Would you call this character Lufus a guy or a girl? Because like I get biologically that's a woman, but the mind is straight up a guy. So like, do I identify this person as like male or female? I don't know. But yeah, basically Luffy's got themselves a Tesla. So if I were to classify Dina's request as a possible or impossible, it would easily be possible. Just say you can do it or you can't. Make up your damn mind, Luffus. Then we will try making one. If you're going to be at it anyway, make one with like a bed and a bath and stuff inside so we don't have to camp out in the open. Dina just smoothly upgraded her request with no hesitation. I was going to just make some sort of open top car, but I guess now I'll have to make a moto home. Basically, just create an RV. And honestly, just create an RV. Excuse me. I looked over at Ares, and although he wasn't making any requests himself, he was looking at me with eyes full of expectation, so I guess that means he's looking forward to whatever I make. Well, it's worth a try. First, for the iron that would make up most of the car, I just used whatever ore I could find lying around. I can probably figure out furniture later. For the bath, I can just make a room for it for now and make a Geomon? Is that a Digimon? Bath or something later. Actually, the baths in this world are all normally Geomon baths. There's no way convenient modern baths would exist. And I don't know how those are made either, so I can't recreate them. For the bed, I can use random tree for a frame, but the problem is what to put on top of that. That's the only part I can't make out of trees or rocks or any of the materials for concrete that are just lying around. Things would change if I had some cotton or feathers or maybe even wool. Oh god, he's gonna use Ares. Huh? What's the matter, Miss Lufus? Is there something on my face? Yeah. You about to be the mattress, you little shit. Give me that wool, you son of a bitch. I needs me a mattress, and I wants to sleep in it. I'm tired. I want to sleep. I had them right by me. The material's great. I can just have Ares turn back into a sheep later and take some wool off him. I wouldn't say we have enough materials, but we do have the bare minimum with this. I'll be able to make a fairly comfortable ride. Transmute. What is this, full metal? First, turn some ore into iron. Changing material into something else that can also be used as material was one of the basics of being an alchemist. That's true. Alchemy takes existing material and using existing material to create something new. That's basically what alchemy is. Imagine how many people, bro, carpenters and people that make furniture would be so out of a job. Or maybe, yeah, alchemists would just be the prime source for hiring. Because that would save off so much work, time management. Anyway, changing the materials into something else can be also choose materials play can create depending on their class levels, and there were a lot of transmutations that were unavailable to a starting alchemist. Alchemists at level 200 like Mizar could get legendary class medals out of a random rock on the ground. That's crazy. It's truly scary. I stopped at level 100, so I can't go that far myself. Bro, level 100 in today's age is still pretty good. I transmuted the iron I just made again and made a motorhome. Well, I'm not well versed on how cars are made either, so it's really just a car-shaped lump of iron. The movement would really entirely depend on the golem's ability to move itself. There wasn't even a driver's seat. Next, I transmuted glass from sand that was nearby to make windows. I placed several walls inside in one of the rooms. I put in a huge pot to serve as a Geomon bath. While I'm at it, I might as well make a kitchen too. I can't make something nice like the electric stove, though. Instead, I made a kitchen that would fit in a bygone era, one that conformed to the level of this world's culture. Next is Ares, go back to being a sheep. Huh? We need your wool. Given Aries' size as a sheep, I can just cut a little bit off of it. It'll grow back later anyway. I jumped on top of Aries, who followed my order and turned back into a sheep, and used chops with my hands to cut off a good amount of wool. This time, I'll be using a material for a futon. Given the level of this world, it'd be surprisingly fluffy, luxurious bed. While I was at it, I put in some wooden chairs too, and I also use Aries wool to make cushions for those. Man, bro, hire Lufus. Lufus can just make you a damn home, or mostly a home. Okay, for now this should be fine. There was a lot it was lacking, but it'll be fine if it just buy what we need. In some cities later, all it needs to do right now is move. Let's see. I might as well check this car's stats too. Oh, I need to give it a name also. Golems could be named at the moment of their creation. And the game I'd seen several golems around the place that had some familiar names, like Gundam or Getter. What the hell? Okay, I know the Gundam reference. I saw that. But what's the other one? Getter? That one sounds a little familiar. Stuff like that. Right then. We should do what should we do about this thing's name? I shouldn't be too pretentious, but also not too easy to forget. Oh, it's not worth it. Tanaka's fine. Tanaka? Tanaka, level 200, artificial life form, 12,000 HP, 0 SP, strength stat is 555. No, it's I mean, it is going to be considered a moving car, so I think it makes sense why agility would be the highest stat. Apparently, the form affects a golem stats a little. This was something that'd be impossible in the game. Its speed was really high, probably because I made it a car shape. Still, AGI as a stat represents the speed of one's actions in combat or agility. Rather than movement speed, so number doesn't necessarily mean that something is fast no matter how high it is. At any rate, if I were to race with it, I still have the confidence to win anyway. With 1020 agility, yeah, you definitely win a race among like the commoners that you'll see. But among like, well, the heavenly stars, based on like Lufus's battle with Ares, they're no joke. And Libra, considering being one of the strongest, that's going to be a tough battle for sure. Wow, this is amazing, Miss Lufus. With this, the journey will be easy. Dina, who was complaining until just now out of self-interest, stopped on a dime and switched to complimenting me. Ares was nodding quickly in agreement with her, but in his case, it looked like honest praise, so I decided to accept it graciously. But still, you need to go back to your human form. Nodding this quickly with your size is causing some serious wind. Oh, right, I forgot, because it's a giant sheep. After we all got inside, I ordered the motorhome to head north. When I did, it must have understood me because it started moving in the right direction. Now it should be smooth sailing until we get where we're going. Ah, right. Then I'll be procuring the furniture we'll need. I'll go teleport off for a bit and buy it, so please wait, Dina said before disappearing without even waiting for my reply. It's as convenient as always. The teleportation magic. I'm so jealous actually. This might be a bit late, but Dina could teleport. Why did we have a carriage all the way to... That's true. If you can tell, maybe there's a distance on how far she could go. I could have just flown there. Even if I left her behind, she'd just catch up with teleportation. Anyway, it's too late now, and Ares is here too, so that option's no longer on the table. Oh man, why did it take me so long to realize? I'm really dropping the ball, aren't I? Well, whatever. For now, let's keep messing with this interior. Sounds like some Minecraft stuff. Leafus is customizing everything. Ha! Ha! At the foot of the Gel volcano, there, a young boy was forcing his body to move, crawling along the ground while leaving behind a trail of. Oh, shoot, someone's heavily injured. It was just one hit, as if swatting away an annoying bug. The boy only took one hit like that. Even so, he was left unable to even stand. Like a bug, he crawled along, desperately and embarrassingly trying to run away from an opponent who was already long gone. Lufus Mavhal is the only demon, the only demon he ever feared is back. She's a nightmare. This is. He was lucky to be level 300. Either that or he was only alive because Lufus honestly didn't care about him and only bothered to use a minimum amount of power. Lufus didn't even recognize him as a proper enemy. That was certainly humiliating, but is. Wait. This is weird. How did. Hmm? Okay. Well, although the look wouldn't be continuing for long. Oh my, so you were still alive? He heard a voice, condescending and so cold it chilled deep into his bone. Mars used all of his remaining might to turn his malfunctioning body towards the owner of the voice and saw a blue-haired girl standing before him. Thanks to the sun behind her, he couldn't see her face properly, but somehow the modest white dress she was wearing seemed much finer than it looked at first glance. Maybe it was thanks to her elegance, or maybe it should be called the sheer weight of her presence. At any rate, there was something mysterious about that girl that couldn't be fully explained in words. However, her face, no. The ends of her mouth were drawn up in a semicircle like a half moon. Her expression was filled with joy. No, no, that's no good at all. Actors whose parts are over need to leave the stage cleanly. No one benefits from a pierce that should have been defeated coming back later to try to earn points. Once your role is done, you should leave. Those are the rules of the game. You are just what are. With a giggle, the girl ridiculed the poor clown who lost his place on the stage. She had no words to waste on answering his questions. There was the idea of present for the, a present for the afterlife, but unfortunately, she didn't have that sort of troublesome spirit of customer service. Simply, quickly, and beautifully, as if plucking weeds, she made the idiot who failed to even die disappear. Damn, whoever this girl is crazy. The only disposition that girl had was cruelty. Goodbye, Mars, you pitiful NPC. NPC. Several seconds later, there was no boy there. All traces of him were gone, as if he had never existed in the first place. There wasn't even a strand of hair left, and the girl who made that happen was also, similarly, no longer there. Huh. Interesting. Who was that girl? When they mentioned blue hair, it kind of made me think of Dina. If children don't stay good. Wait, no. Short story. A wild demon appeared. Interesting. If children don't stay good, a demon will come to get you. A black-winged demon will come visit all the bad children and carry them off somewhere. It brings along 12 stars and will chase you to the ends of the earth. So boy, listen well to your papa and your mama, and be a good child. That was a common tale used to scare children. A simple but loving tale with no twist used to tell children to stay good, or something scary will turn up for the bad one for all the bad ones. Such stories existed everywhere on Earth, and every region had a similar story, each with its own name and face. Scotland had its boogeyman. Uh, Portugal had the Sackman. Germany had the Schwarzerman. don't know that one. And Japan had the Namahage. What the hell is that? They were terribly effective at scaring children into doing what they were told. Children with no frame of reference or life expectancy were incredibly poor and quick to believe. Children started to learn with what their parents told them. That was why, for children with no knowledge of the difference between realistic and the unrealistic, whatever their parents said became the truth. That was why they believed, feared, and obeyed. Here in Mizgars, there was no exception, and basically all areas of the world had the black winged demon fulfill that role. That was all it was. However, the only difference was that the black winged demon really existed. A little ways away from the trade city of Yirdarlir, I don't know how to say that name, lay a small village. Its name was Al Village. It was named after a legend that said that in the past there was a Valkyrie by the name of Ali, who was said to be the agent of the goddess who descended upon this place. But the truth of the legend was unknown. In that village, a single boy was running energetically. That boy, who laughed uproariously as he ran, held an ali fruit, which was being grown in the village. Said fruit, which was the village's specialty, was said to have brought by the Valkyrie Ali, whom the goddess sent with the fruit after taking pity on the people who were dying of drought. It was sweet, full of nutrients, and grew regardless of the season, even slightly barren land. Wow. Fruits like, I'm going to grow whether you like it or not. I'm going to be healthy and nourished. Of course, there was a limit, and it wouldn't grow in a complete. Okay, never mind. So it wasn't completely an all-purpose fruit wasteland, but the fruit was still easier to grow than most, and it was one of the most popular fruits in Mizgars. Wrapped in green skin, the fruit stored a lot of moisture, and it was a much more reliable source of hydrogen than standing water, really, which could be filled with disease or... Okay, that makes more sense why. They don't know how to filter out water. So, like, because, like, for example, water from the sea is technically not drinkable, if you guys know that. Because salt water, for example, if you drink salt water, whether it's a little or, God forbid, a long periods of time, you will die. You will die if that enters your system. That's why, like, water has to be filtered out. Water has to be filtered out. Otherwise, we aren't able to properly consume it. Of course, there was a limit. Red and green. A lot of moisture. And, oh, no, I heard that. The boy who'd stolen one of those fruits ran with an expression. Excuse me. Ran with an expression like he wasn't feeling guilty at all. Adults ran after him while yelling, but the agile boy quickly escaped from their pursuit. Fuck, that damn bikey spray brat. Damn that little prankster. He even laid his hands on my goods. Sounds like something straight out of Naruto. The villagers shouted hatefully, watching the retreating back of a child. The fact that children are so energetic is a sign of peace. So energetic children are a village's treasure. However, that doesn't excuse pranks. Not to mention stealing fruits that are the village's lifeline. Luckily, he didn't steal enough to cause the village to starve, but it wasn't as if Baiki understood that. It was just that since he was a child, he didn't eat that much. A-leaf fruit was extremely important given to the size of the village. It lined the tables of every family at every meal, and money earned by selling it to merchants from Yidar Yidarler went straight into the living expenses of the village. So the fact that Baiki hadn't been exiled from the village up until now was a testament to the character of the village's people, and even that had a limit. Elan, he's your kid, right? You have to discipline him. Sorry, I keep lecturing him at home, but he just doesn't listen. I even told him the story of the Blackwing demon to scare him. That only works on the really young ones. At his age, there's no point to it. The man called Elan looked weak-willed as he bowed his head over and over to try to appease everyone. He might have been the one who'd taken the most damage from Baiki's pranks. Jeez, we're lowering your family share. Got it? What? No. Of course it's happening, idiot. It's your responsibility to pay back everything that brat steals. All the men there jeered at Elan before leaving while still venting their frustrations. The boy Bike was a famous prankster in the village. He'd already cried wolf about monsters coming more than once or twice, and he's stolen things like Times fruit before as well. He'd thrown bugs into people's houses or flipped girls' skirts who were the same age as him. These things were a daily occurrences. Bro, this kid reminds me of Naruto, low key. Either he just likes seeing people distressed, or he got some kind of twisted pleasure from causing people trouble. The reason was unknown. But at any rate, the prank that was the prank that always went slightly over the line continued daily. Some fairy tales meant to scare children had no effect, and the boy Baiki grew arrogant, saying nothing like that exists. In truth, no matter how many bad things he'd done up until now, no Blackwing demon had ever shown up. That was why he'd realized long ago that it was just a lie told by his parents. However, he was still just a child. He didn't really understand what it meant to cause people trouble. It was just fun to see people panic, so he kept doing it. However, he never even considered just how much damage his actions were causing and how hard he was making things for his parents. Even for the fruit, the only thought he had was, there's so many of them. It's fine if I take one, right? Of course, there would be no guilt born from that. In fact, he arbitrarily decided that any adults that didn't let him have it were stingy butts. He didn't yet understand the concept of selling it for profit or the concept of saving money. He only figured that the adults were hoarding all the fruit for themselves to eat. That was why he never regretted his pranks up until now. He never thought they were bad, and he never expected regret either, as long as those peaceful days continued, at least. What? The boy Bike, who was biting into the fruit as he ran, collided with an adult's leg near the entrance of the village. It happened because he wasn't paying attention to where he was going. He never expected to run into something where he did. The boy looked upwards, while his mind was screaming, "Crap! I'll get..." Crap, did I go too far? No, yeah, I went too far. Let's go back. There we go. Okay. Crap, caught by the adults and get yelled at. I'm done for. He thought that the only thing left to do was to see who'd caught him and hoped for leniency depending on who it was. If it was the kind and good-humored Uncle Friend, then it would be better than nothing. If it was the angry Uncle Lang, then he'd get a fist to the head. Even though he felt no guilt for committing mischief, Baiki was scared of punishment. A glutton for punishment, as one would say. With those selfish thoughts in his head, the boy looked up and found not someone from the village, but an unfamiliar adult. It was a man who looked generally draped with filthy spots here and there. He had an unkempt beard and wore armor, but the armor wasn't pretty. In the first place, the colors were all over the place. It was a splash dash set that looked like it'd been cobbled together randomly from parts that looked good out of the soldiers that belonged to many different countries. For example, his helmet was green, but his pauldrons were red, and his chest plate was blue. And more than anything, he stank. Boy smelled, or whoever he ran into smelled. Baths and showers and the like weren't common in this world, and it was normal to go several days without washing oneself. That's nasty. I don't think I can do that. However, this man's stench was different. It was like he stank of iron and oil, and that combined with the unwashed sink of a middle-aged man, it became an awful banquet. And along with the man in front, there was four others for a total of five unknown. Stinky men blocking the boy's way. Whoa, ho! What an energetic little boy. Is he from this village? The deep voice caused the boy to tremble. Are there any travelers or soldiers from the capital? No, no, no way. The boy was arrogant, ignorant, but even then, he could somehow tell they weren't travelers or proper soldiers. It was his child's intuition, or something like that. At any rate, the boy instinctively understood that these men were bad for the village. Okay, so I'm gonna end it right here. I thought we were gonna. Nah, I think we're probably gonna still need a bit more time to finish this book, but overall things are getting good. So we finally concluded the Ares situation with Magrez, and now we're off to go to find Libra, get to join the group, and then finally have access to those legendary weapons and armor. So no, definitely looking forward to that for sure. As well as, I wonder why did we change perspective to this village with this boy named Baiki? I wonder if this boy will play an important role. That's why they're showing him. Again, I'm not entirely sure, but hey, the only way to find out is to catch me in the next reaction or the next read along. Peace. I'm out. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe if you haven't already. Really motivates me to put more content out there for you guys, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.